y'all, I'm Courtney and welcome to my channel. If you haven't already watched it, feel free to check out my May TBR or to be read video where I go over the 5 or so print books and a few audiobooks and podcasts I'll be reading / listening to for the month of May, getting me ready for the summertime. Also, if you didn't already know, I have Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram accounts where you can follow me there. I also just added Readerly and Storygraph, as well as trying to dip my toes into TikTok, so we'll see how that goes, but I've listed those below in the description. All right, today we are recapping the month of April. So this month I was traveling a little bit with my trip to Florida for a volleyball tournament, and then just around the neighborhood because it was Independent Bookstore Day. So I was all over the place. That's also me giving an excuse of why I didn't feel like I read a lot. But to give you some stats, so here is my Always Fully Booked planner. Boom, from the Little Inklings design. So I've had my reading wrap up and I'll share with you all just some stats before I jump into the books itself. So I've read 8 books for the month of April. My favorite was The First 10 Years, and I'll give you a synopsis and my thoughts on that shortly. The number of pages read, 3,062. Number of print books, 5. Number of audiobooks, 3. And the genres that I read, kind of all over the place, which I'm super proud of: sci-fi, young adult, contemporary, memoir, classic, and historical fiction. So I think that's pretty good. I've always had the goal of trying to stretch my reading a little bit more, my reading habits, and I feel in my Independent Bookstore Day recap or like haul, I had shared that I really, at this point, I'm not like, oh, this is my favorite genre. I might have one like today, but tomorrow might be different. So I feel like that's a strength of mine now in terms of my reading life, because before it used to be just memoirs or just historical fiction or just contemporary. So I feel like I'm branching out and dipping my toes into a lot of different genres, which I guess could be what that phrase is, like the jack of all trades, master of none, which I think is fine. I think I can, having that span of different genres, I feel like I can relate to more people. I can recommend books a little bit better because I have a wide range of books that I've read. So I think of it as a positive. So yes, let's jump in. Also, I need to share this with you all. I got this butterbeer cold brew. So you can't like say, well, maybe you can in some Starbucks stores, I want a butterbeer cold brew, but this I found out, my friend Hannah had shared this post in like our girlfriend's Instagram chat message, and it was from this man from the Macro Barista, so at Macro Barista, and he shares like all these fun kind of secret menu or like ways to order drinks a little bit differently, and he posted about a butterbeer cold brew, and I went and got it that next day. This is my second one, not today, but like in the last few days. It's amazing. So it was a grande cold brew, light splash of sweet cream, a packet of stevia, one pump of caramel syrup, and 1 pump of toffee nut syrup. So amazing. I only drink like half of it, but this is gonna fuel me through this video, so I won't finish probably all of this today. I'll save some for tomorrow morning. So the first book that I finished this month, I think was a little bit of a combo because it bled in from March, but that was Middlemarch by George Eliot, and this was part of a buddy read because it is so thick. And I still have the bookmark in there because this is the point where I jumped to audio, because that's when I was going to Florida and I wanted to finish it then. So I can actually check this out. That's probably not too bad. That much read in the print version and the rest was audio, so that is getting taken out. Anyway, so I wanted to join this buddy read, one, because I'm trying to read more off my unread shelf, thanks to the Unread Shelf Challenge by Whitney Conrad, and 2, I want to dive deeper into like comprehensive chunky reads because they are so intimidating, and to do that in a group that are reading at the same time, that have many different experiences with this book, like myself, then I wanted to dive into that. And what perfect way. It started right at the beginning of March, and I was still developing my TBR at that point and just like added it on as a last minute addition. So yeah, it was okay. Like it was kind of slow, which I know is supposed to be a thing with a lot of classics, or I don't know, like these types of stories. So it had 2 different like plots going on at the same time. And there was like some romance or some unrequited romance or love and things like that. There were mistakes that were being made. Maybe this could be my mistakes prompt for Read Like a Gilmore, maybe that one could be it, because there were so many like missed opportunities as it comes to love, or like jumping into a relationship because you felt it was the right thing to do, or people expected you to do it. It wasn't necessarily what was right for you, but other people thought it was. And yeah, I think there was some comedy in there, some dry humor, some beautifully written dialogue going on. So yeah, I wasn't able to make the discussion for this because I had a volleyball game, but I'm hoping that I can read up on some more discussions in the group, like post having that conversation, the ones that are available to have that. I think they're doing it through Zoom or Skype or something, but we broke it down into parts. So there's 8 parts to the book, and each part is about 100 pages each. So after 100 pages, or after each part, we did like a debrief, and I thought that was so helpful, and that's what's going to get me through a lot more books in the future, is having those smaller goals, because like I said, it is intimidating because it's chunky, it's large, the font is super small, the margins are non-existent. And having those like, okay, we're only gonna read 100 pages per week kind of frame helped me get through this so much easier, or helped me feel like it's more attainable to finish it. Then I read Shadow and Bone, which that was a library copy, so I'll post the picture over here of the cover. But that I picked up because I knew I wanted to watch the TV series. It's like super hyped up on book Twitter, and I know I'm trying to do better with, I think that's why in the middle of last month I'm like, okay, let me try to do more books that aren't hyped up on Bookstagram or like bestsellers, because somebody decided they should be a bestseller and then everybody listened to them. But I don't know, I'm diving more into young adult sci-fi. So this follows Alina in this, I don't know if it's post-apocalyptic, alternative universe kind of world, where this space or this area where you cross it and it's very dangerous to do so, not many people survive it, and these kids are tested at a young age to see if they have these powers, or what they're called Geisha, and she and her best friend Mal aren't tested, or if they were tested, they like are making sure that their powers, if they had any, aren't known, because they don't want to be separated from each other. And that's what happens, like the Geisha get taken away and like trained up and like become like a different kind of army than the regular people. So Alina finds out that she has these powers when she's like 16 or 17, and then she gets taken away. She is like what they've been waiting for, called the Sun Summoner, and this is the first book of a trilogy, I believe. So wanted to give it at least a chance. I think I'm on episode 5 of the series, because I'm nervous that like some of it's going to spoil a little bit of the book series. I don't know if they're treating it as like, okay, the first book is the first season and so on and so forth, but they're also incorporating this other book series that's within the Geisha universe, but a different cast of characters into the TV series. So I'm like, there's so much happening right now. But reading the first book, it was super fast, super engaging. It's hard for me to pick up on the like world building, because they do it so quickly, but as I got more into the story, I was able to grasp like the universe, the terminology that they use, the types of people, the powers, things like that. So I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think it was, like I said, it was a fast read, and it's fun to have that background going into the TV show. Then we have The First 10 Years by Meg Bashwiner and Joseph Fink. So this is out May 11th. So by the time this is coming out on your YouTube channel, it should be only a week away, maybe a little less. But yeah, this I absolutely loved. It was a 5 out of 5 star read for me, and it is a memoir based off these 2 individuals who kind of chronicle their life over 10 years, and each giving themselves like their own perspectives within the parts. So like there's 10 parts that are based off of a year. I can't remember what year they start. 2009. So 2009 is broken into 2 chapters, Meg's chapter and Joe's chapter, and then they go over like what their experience was in that year together as they developed their relationship. I love that there were so many quotes. I have like tabs in most of the book of quotes. I related most to Meg because I feel like we were very similar as it comes to like body image and growing into like ourselves professionally, growing more confident, kind of what we are afraid of in relationships. So that I thought was really cool to be able to relate to somebody like that, but then also get like the dual perspective. I think that's such a good way to tell a story, and like the fact that it's true is even more impressive. So yeah, definitely check this one out. Speaking of another dual perspective one was Firefly Lane by Kristin Hannah. Here's the book cover as well. So this was another library book, like I had to get done fast. And that was one of my books about friendship prompts for the Read Like a Gilmore challenge. So this follows two young women, well, kind of over 3 decades. It goes back and forth between them as young adults, maybe like in their teens up until like their 40s, and experiencing life together and apart. I thought it was beautiful. Like I was telling somebody this the other day of, I don't really see, or maybe I haven't read too many like solely friendship based books that aren't just about like, oh, they're gonna turn into lovers or friends to lovers kind of thing or whatever. But this is like two women guiding each other, growing from each other, learning each other's quirks and like how to stand up for themselves with each other. And like there is so romance like with other men in the story, but it's basically about their relationship and how they make it through and get through like the tough times together. It's, like I said, emotional, beautiful. I've been watching the TV series as well. I think I'm only halfway through that as well. Like I think I have an issue of just finishing TV shows in general, but that one, I can't remember if I gave that a 4 or 5 out of 5 stars. I think it was pretty high up there, but it did take me a little while because it was kind of like heavy at parts, like the content that they were talking about. There are some trigger warnings involved with that, so just be aware of that if you plan to read it or have read it. So yeah, but otherwise I love Kristin Hannah's work. I have a few other books by her that I'm waiting to get to until I'm like mentally and emotionally prepared for them. Then we have Memoirs of a Geisha by Arthur Golden. This was my first audiobook of the month, and this I wanted to read/listen to. I think I gave this preface in my April TBR video, but I had mentioned that I'd gotten the DVD or was lent the DVD years ago by my dad, and I hadn't opened, like the plastic wrap was still on it, and I hadn't watched it, and I gave it back because I was like, man, I don't really want to watch this. And I kept seeing the book pop up, and just knowing where we're at with Asian Americans and the Asian culture right now, and like the discrimination and harassment that's happening, I wanted to dig deeper into more Asian culture, more Asian history. And I'd done so before with like the Poppy War and Pachinko, but wanted to continue doing that and diversifying my reading. So I read that and then watched the film version, but basically it chronicles a young girl who's basically orphaned with her sister at a young age and gets brought into these houses in the middle of Japan, or like a city in Japan, and has to like train to become a geisha. What does that mean for her? And yeah, it goes from like her at a young age through like teens and young 20s, and everything she experiences there, the people she meets, the people that help her, the women that are mean and try to tear her down and tear her success away. So I thought that was a cool way to see the culture there. Not sure, I don't think that's a big practice in Japan anymore, but I could be wrong. Definitely something I want to look into and do some more research on. Okay, sorry for the camera angle change. My memory card was running out of space, so I had to make some changes there. But anyhow, on to my next book. So I read The Elite by Kiera Cass. So this is the second book in the selection series, where we find a post-apocalyptic world where there's a caste system and there's a competition in a way for these women from all different castes to, I don't know, I guess try out, audition, interview to be this group of like 20 to 30 women that are going after the prince's heart and like trying to be the next princess, queen, whatever. But it goes beyond that, just like this Bachelor style theme, into a lot of political unrest. So that's what's happening in The Elite. There's only 6 women left, but like it's getting more politically charged with the North and the South rebels trying to figure out like what's best for the country and the system, I guess, that has been put in place in this new world. And yeah, it's very interesting. I was talking to somebody about how the main character, her name's America, she is in the cast 5, but becoming part of the elite. She's got moved up to like 2, but she still feels the pressures of what it's to be a lower caste, but she has such whiplash between like these two guys and the way that she thinks, and it's like you think at one point she's like, oh, I'm totally into this, committed, I believe him, blah 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 blah, and then the next moment she's like, no, I don't. And oh, it's been so frustrating to see her go back and forth like this, but I'm like engaged with it still because I want her to make up her mind and like stick with it. So I think there's 5 books in the series. I'm currently on the 3rd one as my May TBR, but the 2nd one, like I was mentioning, was more about like the political unrest and her trying to figure out what might be best for her, but still struggling to do so. So that one I think I gave a 3.5 out of 5. Then we have the Transatlantic Book Club by Felicity, Hayes-McCoy, and this was my reading vlog choice for the month of April. So you all had voted for this one amongst, I think, 3 that I had posted about. So anyway, this follows a group of folks over in the United States and over in Ireland who are like generations of Irish immigrants or like natives of the country, and they kind of reconnect through this online book club or Skype book club, and other things are uncovered as this goes through, because you have a set of grandparents and then like parents or like guardian kind of age, and then the children, and sometimes even grandchildren or great-grandchildren at that point. But yeah, it was way more dramatic and like soap opera-y than I was expecting. Like I thought it was gonna be like a light, fluffy, like, oh, we're gonna connect and like put old wounds aside, or I don't know, like I just assumed it would be more like beach ready, which at some points it was, but those last 100 pages was just, whoa, what the heck is happening? There's so much drama. But yeah, I did a whole reading vlog on this, so feel free to check that out for more details. But I mean, it wasn't terrible, it wasn't bad, but I've read another book by her called Mistletoe Matchmaker, which was more of that like light and fluff kind of read I was looking for in time of like Christmas and everything. But this I think is a fun spring summer read and might be even good for a book club selection. The last book I read was A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas, and this was a hyped up book series that I'm like, I need to figure out why people are so obsessed or like are tearing this book apart, because I just need to know. Like a lot of FOMO going on. So this is also a series. I don't know how many books are in it. I think there's 5 or 6, but then I think they have like prequels or like alternate characters having the floor in different books in the series. But this one follows, oh god, what's her name? Farah, and her sisters and her father are like trying to survive basically, because there's been like, I don't know if it was a war, but like somehow like their money has been taken away from them, and there's like bunch of humans, and then there's fae and high fae and fairies, and there's been this huge divide between them, and like only certain ways to kill them with like ash tree or ash wood. So Farah one day is like trying to get food for her family. She's the hunter, she's like the provider basically, even I think she's the youngest, and she kills a fae or fairy, and that has consequences. She gets brought over to the high fae world or like lands where she will never see her family again. And then we find out it's like this whole bigger, much bigger story of just going from, or a human killing a fae, or like why they are the way that they are kind of thing. So there's a bunch of challenges she has to go through. There's a development of a relationship that was unexpected. So yeah, it was, a lot of people describe it as like smut or like more, a lot of like sex and stuff going on. There was some of that, but I think they said the future ones get more of that, and this is probably the one that's the least favorite out of the entire series. It was okay. I don't think I'm gonna buy the series. I think I was on the fence when I said I was gonna be reading this book of like, okay, am I going to buy the print books? I feel like this is one that I would want to, but I'm like, at this point, they look beautiful. The covers are stunning, but I think I'm gonna keep with the audiobooks for now. So yeah, that will probably be my goal. The next book in the series is A Court of Mist and Fury. I think that's what it's called, and continues her journey, because it leaves off obviously on a cliffhanger, or like there's going to be more with her story with the high fae and her family. So yeah, that one I think I gave a 3 or 3.5 out of 5. So yes, those are the books I read for the month of April. I feel like I say this every time of like, man, I don't think I'm gonna make it. Or like at the end of the month, like I only have like 5 or 6 books done, but most of them are like, okay, like I have some time. The reading vlog was one of the last weeks that I did a book, or one of the last ones I read. And then audiobooks are usually pretty quick for me as I'm driving to volleyball or going for walks. I've been going for more walks lately, doing more of a challenge of like running or walking 30 minutes a day at least. The gallon challenge thing I kind of gave up on because I was like, I want to drink these other juices that are good for me and like protein shakes and stuff, but that's just so much liquid in a day on top of a gallon of water. So yeah, I've increased my water intake, but it's not going to be a full gallon because that's a lot. But yes, was 8 books that I read for the month. So that's pretty much what I'm averaging, between 8 and 10, which I think is pretty strong. But I had mentioned in my May TBR, I want to do more print books because I have acquired more print books and it's getting kind of out of control. So we will do my best with that. And I have a little bit more time off this month. I have a few vacation days, a couple of sick days because I have some doctor's appointments. So I'm hoping to read more then, but also don't want to pressure myself of, okay, I have a day off, I need to read a book, blah. That I just feel like I get stressed out when I have that high expectation of myself on a day I have off, or like I have a day that is free that I'm like, if I'm not reading, like, why not? What am I doing? So we'll just see how that goes. But anyway, I hope you had a good month of April with your reading life. Let me know in the comments below what you've read for the month, what you're excited about for next month, and let me know if you've read any of the books that I have read and what your thoughts are on them. But if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Feel free to hit subscribe or the notification bell to know when videos are posted in the future. I usually post 1 video a week, sometimes 2, and we are going to get into some more different types of videos. I have a bookshelf organization one coming up soon. My vlogger Q&A is coming up soon as well. So just a little preview of what is to come on this channel. So I hope you all have a great day and happy reading.